Hello YouTube, welcome to Sunday in the Shop. It's Saturday, it's mid-30s. Where that snow is, we had about a half-inch of snow last night. It's already melting off. That's where our giant ice puddle is. Got a big water puddle here. I need to put gravel in here, I know. So I have to slop to the mud. But we're going to make a punch out of these old shock absorbers out of the shaft. We left these extended when we threw them in the pile after taking them off the truck last year. We have to cut this cover off. Then we're going to cut this shaft off. And do not take a torch to this stuff. When I was a kid, I tried to tell the mechanic at the shop not to take a torch to cut these loops off, because he was going to weld them on another pair of shocks. And he had about a 10-foot flame shooting there like a flamethrower with all that hydraulic oil under pressure. So even though these are old, it can still build up pressure. Do not throw these in a fire. There, that's it for the safety garbage. But first we got to do is cut this cover off. So we'll get this off. Save these washers. They're worth cleaning up. There might be today you need a washer like that. So don't throw that stuff away. It'll go underneath my welding table in my pile of junk. So we'll bring you back when we got this cover cut off. And we're going to expose this shaft. We're going to make our punch out of it. So stay tuned. Okay, might as well show you how I got my cord hanging out of the mud and how I wrap my grinder so it doesn't end up in the mud. We just cut this off whatever way to get like this, okay? We're just going to shove this out through here, and then we can cut the shaft off. We'll clean this up later. So we just want to get it off there, and they're pulled out all the way as far as they're going to go. So we'll get that cut off. We'll get the piece we're going to work with. We're going to make 2 of these. We're only going to make 1 on film. So well, up to the next step. Okay, we're going to make this the head of the punch for now. Being this is where the cover was and where it steps down, the piece of metal, we're going to chop this part off. We'll save this little slug. It had threads on here. We chopped off. We're going to save this little piece of metal. We may need it someday. It'll go in our little scrap can. So I don't throw away anything. I mean, I might need that for a pin someday. But this will be the head of it, like pound on the head of a nail. I think you know what I mean. Being it's already there, we're just going to leave it there. We'll just round it over and clean it up a little bit. We kind of got a nick there, but the other end will be the other end that has the point to it. Okay, that's going to be the head of it. That's where the top of the shock was with the threaded stud and everything. That's what we'll pound on, because that's going to get reground and reshaped over the years. We lightly, with the sanding flapper disc, real fast up and down this shaft, not to dig in, just to get the rust off. I mean, it went really, really fast. This is where I had the vice grips on when I took the shock out, is what these gouges are. And I have the video of that, how I clamped it on there to get this nut loose on this end. There is a flat spot in them, but it gets old, rusted. If you've done shocks, you know what I mean. But I have a video where I clamped the vice grips on here at an angle to hold that, to get the nut off. And that's fun, holding the grinder in one hand, like my left hand, I spun that against the flapper disc. Be careful which way your sparks fly, even with a guard. You know, wear your goggles. Okay, next we're going to start by grinding 4 times on this down to a point. You'll see when I do it, and I'll take a picture of it. So we'll start out with 4, then it'll be 8, and then we'll slowly shape it. It doesn't have to be a perfect punch. It's probably going to be used more for an alignment tool, lining up bolts and actually punching holes. So stay tuned for the next part. We'll get this done so it's not too long of a video today. Look at the mud slop out here. I need to get gravel in here. They want so much money for gravel. Oh, it's not going to focus. You've seen it already. Okay, take a deep breath. We'll show you how we start to see how it's wider out here, so we know it's going to be thinner. Just natural, just think about it. It's not as wide here. So it's going to be going downhill. This is how you make your first flat, and you flip it over and do the same thing. You don't have to be perfect. You'll be doing it 8 times actually. You'll be doing it 1, 2, 3, 4, then you'll be taking the corners off. It's like you use carving a stick down, you know how you'd carve it. I think you get the idea. See? You're never going to get to the exact center, but you're going to get close. But got some tape on it, so don't chew it up. That's the best way I can think to hold it. Because I got that head on there, and I can't put that in this angle iron vise. But that's quick release, got some tape on it. That way I have an idea where to go. Don't do it real hot. If you see it turn a little blue, quit. Go a little lighter, kind of take your time. Because you're going to take some of the toughness out of the steel. I said it's not going to be a punch for punching through anything heavy, but it's probably going to be more for lining up stuff. Okay, enough talk about that, how to do that. When I come back, I'll just show you when I've got it done 4 times. Okay, you can see where it really gets tapered on the end because you only got so much grindstone to work with on a 4.5 inch grinder, so it'll be like kind of a long taper and then really taper down at the end. So we did that 4 times. Okay, now we're going to knock these corners off. So you're actually doing it 8 times. So we'll be back and show when we're done doing that part. Then the rest is just taking your sander flapper disc and just running up and down it, trying to make it as round as you can. You can either go on a disc sander, which would be really nice, you know, twirling it and going on a disc sander or a belt sander, or just take your time with your sanding flapper disc. So the way I have it clamped with the vice grips, you can just release it, turn it, so you can work pretty quick. Off to the next step. Okay, here's what it looks like after 8 times. It's not exact, but we'll clean it up. See where it needs to be cleaned. Don't get too close, that's hot. See where it needs to be cleaned up so it's more. We'll do that. We'll sit down and rest on our little stool or something and just freehand that with the grinder, and then we'll take the sanding flapper disc to it. It'll take a while, but this just in case you didn't have a punch, you're out in the middle of nowhere, at least you can make one. So that's the reason I'm making this video. I know some of you might say, well, just go buy one. Well, I'm out in the middle of nowhere and I don't have one. So, survival tool techniques. It'll look better when I'm done. That's probably all you'll see till I've finished. I'll sand the flapper disc and do all that pretty stuff to it. Listen, you can retreat it. You see where it's blue. It's going to cool down not too fast out here. But you can heat this up and retreat it, but it's just going to be more or less for like aligning bolt holes. Okay, stay tuned. This video will be too long. Okay, it's not perfectly round, but if we have a belt sander, we do have it in our plans to find a belt and disc sander. Even though we're only going to use it half a dozen times a year, I say that, but you know I'll probably dream of projects, but we don't know what we're going to get yet. We don't want to spend a lot of money. It might be just a cheap one from Harbor Freight, but that's good enough for now. I mean, you can put a sharp point on it and said you could reheat treat this. This is probably like chrome moly steel. It's a shaft out of a shock absorber, so probably as quality as a high dollar wrench or something, or a breaker bar. You know it's high dollar steel. So if somebody knows exactly what it is, put in the description what type of steel they're using in a shock absorber shaft. But there you go. I'll leave you with this. This is my latest incense burner. This is that fancy French sparkling water you find in the grocery store. And it's pretty thick. It's not as thick as, we're going to pull this out. We wanted to show you this. I had a cigarette, but we're going to pull it out so you can watch the smoke go out. But it's not as thick as that wine bottle. It was about as thick as a champagne bottle, but we'll take a photo of that. That's pretty thick glass. It took a while to get through it. Let's find that bit real quick. We found a bit that kind of digs really good, but you got to be careful. This one. Try to get close up. Almost has a head like a head of a nail, and it has a groove back in here. Get some of that junk out. It's really aggressive. You got to be careful. It'll cut going like this at an angle, but it doesn't cut straight in. So it did chew it out really good. So we had that, and then another assortment of small ones. We have a bigger round one here somewhere. You've seen it in other videos. And then like this is how we make the whole bagger going like that. Like I said, you can always refer back to my Sunday in the Shop video where I made the incense burner. These collars, Dremel type collars won't fit in this. There's another one of these on Amazon called Workies or something, same thing. And in the reviews, when people buy them, they say you can't use the Dremel type collars. Well, I just took and ground them off by sticking them in this end into my drill chuck and just took a file or sandpaper. You only got to make them just a little bit thinner and they'll fit. Don't grind it all the way because this is support. Even though it clamps on them slots, it is a support for it. But that little tip in there, if you got smaller bits, You need different collars, and these are out of a small, like that little Harbor Freight rotary tool, so I needed a smaller collar. See, not an 1/8 inch or whatever. But we took the plug out of there. We'll spin our fan around. Might blow a little faster, but there you go. We'll snap a couple pictures of that too. So thanks for watching this week. We'll get out of here before this is too long of a video.